Hi, this is Jim Lyon, the host of the All That to Say podcast. Before you dive in today, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch all of our fearless conversations.
The first woman to be ordained in the United States was ordained by the founder of the Wesleyan Methodist Church. So we've never been away from ordination of women. But we have followed with the culture, and we've followed with the church culture that has diminished that leadership role. And I believe we're coming back to it, but it's still there. And really trying to say, this is what the scriptures say, this is where God is called. I mean, my mother was ordained. She was way back. But I want to say something. You know, I look back at some of our early founders. My goodness, if I stood up, I double dog dared somebody the other day and said, I dare you to stay at this district conference, these words. I could give you a lot of words, but this one is the funniest. He says, "It's nothing but bigotry, a need for bossing, and jealousy in men that have kept women from their rightful place. And besides, they're a lot better preachers than men."
Well,
now, he was one of the founders of our church.
That's a quote.
That's a quote. Yes, it's a quote. And so, like I said, I double dog dared her just to stand up and say that and then say, wait a minute, this is the founder of our church. But in a sense, we were marginalized in those days. So when you're marginalized, this is my question. When you're marginalized, do you say things really that the scripture says and you're bold and courageous? Or when you want to be more accepted, you tone all that down? And I think that's where we went. So as in her book, and as she talks all about, I lived all that stuff. And so it became very, okay, well, we need to be more accepted, and we'll do this kind of thing, rather than being really living what the scripture says we should live. And then at the same time, it's juxtaposed with the feminist movement.
Yes.
You know, I was involved in those early days in the 60s with the feminist movement. I was part of the University of Missouri in Kansas City. And there were some radical feminists that were there. And really, I mean, what they taught and what they were talking about was not terrible. I mean, it was really right, et cetera, at that time. But the church rejected that. So the church had this close the door on this, forgetting what really Scripture says and what our history was.
Well, and I lived through some of the feminist upheavals of the 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And some of the extreme positions, some of the more, what shall I say? Well, just extreme highlighting of some people kind of off the cliff.
Right, exactly.
I think merged into this whole idea of women in leadership, and people, rather than challenge the definition that some feminists would present, just retreated altogether from the issue because of fearful of how it might be read or misinterpreted. There is that piece of reality in our own history. But again, it seems to me almost like prescient that we come from a theological tradition which has always esteemed the value of men and women. Your sons and daughters will prophesy from the day of Pentecost. And prophecy there meaning, just the declaration of the word. That we come from that tradition, and we're at an intersection where that is so much in the secular culture right now, isn't it? And yet, honestly, we're spot on, really, in terms of the way in which we can speak to that issue, but maybe sometimes afraid.
Yeah.
So as you think about that, are you encouraged that we're on the right track, or you feel like the church is paused or it's receding?
I believe we're moving in the right track, but we need more encouragement to move. So
some more wind in the sail from people who may be standing on the curb.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
And realizing this is, and then I think we're suffering from our lack of identity. Who are we? And where do we fit in all of this? And I think it's a new reclaiming of our identity, that we need to come back and reclaim who we are.